Switch to my Malkin's moments. I have a lot of great Malkin's moments to talk about. First, last week, the NBA season got underway, and the number one overall pick was on the spotlight, Paulo Banchero, and what a debut he had for the Orlando Magic. He had an historic debut, did Paulo Banchero, in the Magic's unfortunate loss to the Detroit Pistons. But in that loss, Banchero had 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in a 4-point loss to Detroit. So Banchero is the first player since LeBron entered the league in 2003 with at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in their first NBA game. We all remember LeBron's game at Sacramento, 25.6 rebounds, 9 assists in his debut on the season. Banchero so far through 3 games is averaging 23 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists on 42% shooting from the floor. Of course, that's going to improve the more he continues to play. But he looks phenomenal. He looks the part, does Banchero. The Magic, yes, they're 0-3 as a team, but they've been highly competitive in every outing so far this year. And I'm really entertained by this team. I like the nucleus that they have with Banchero, with Franz Wagner, my boy Jalen Suggs. Told you guys to watch out for Jalen Suggs. This guy is going to be a beast if he can just stay healthy. So he's having a resurgence, is Jalen Suggs. I like Cole Anthony coming off the bench. Wendell Carter is a physical big. I don't know if Mo Bamba is going to continue to really play meaningful minutes, but great to be able to say his name outside of the song. The Magic are a fun team. They're a frisky team, and it's fun to watch them play. They're a team I'm going to watch on League Pass a lot. Very entertaining team, but Banchero's the real deal. He looks to be the real deal. He plays an unselfish brand of basketball that I appreciate. He's been consistent, taking about 18 to 19 shots per game, but it's always in the flow of the offense. He hasn't been forcing it. He hasn't been trying to suck up the defense and force one-on-one situations. He's moving without the basketball. He's sharing the rock. He's shooting it when he's open. They're coming. The points are coming, and the shots are coming naturally within the offensive system, and that's something rare, especially for a number one pick. But he's been playing really well. Shout out to him. Shout out to the Phoenix Suns guard Chris Paul for officially reaching 11,000 career assists. The Suns beat the Clippers last night, 112-95. Paul, at age 37, collected his 11,000th assist of his career, third most in the NBA all time. He's joined by John Stockton and Jason Kidd as the only players in NBA history with that many assists. John Stockton, of course, it seems like eons away, over 15,000 assists. Jason Kidd over 12,000. But Paul became the first player in league history with 20,000 points and 11,000 assists. Again, he's been one of the preeminent and the elite point guards in the game. I think it was fitting that he set this historic mark against the Clippers, with whom, again, he played 6 seasons. He leads the franchise for the most career assists. So it was fitting that he reached this milestone, that he created this history against his former team. So shout out to Chris Paul. Shout out to the Philadelphia Phillies, knocking off the San Diego Padres in the NLCS in 5 games to reach the World Series for the first time since 2009. What a run this Phillies team has been on. Bryce Harper and Rhys Hoskins have been incredible in the series and in the postseason, but especially Bryce Harper. This guy has obviously had immense pressure. And excuse me, woo, bless you, pardon me. So let me start all over. Let me start all over with the Phillies, because they deserve the time. They deserve the additional time for their performance against San Diego Padres. Not to mention, Citi Field Park is incredible. The atmosphere The Phillies fans have been amazing so far this postseason. They're 5-0 in the postseason. But going back to Bryce Harper, and again, Rhys Hoskins, you have to talk about him as well. But Bryce Harper has been absolutely sensational this postseason. He won the NLCS MVP. He batted 400 in the NLCS. That's what he's averaging with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. In fact, this postseason, he's batting 419 with 5 home runs and 11 RBIs in 11 postseason games. So, again, he's been maligned throughout his career for not always living up to expectations, and especially when he signed that mega contract with the Phillies back in 2018. There was skepticism if he could deliver, if he could produce. Again, he was also one of these athletes that was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 16. And there's all this pressure. And boy, has he been tremendous this postseason. You just get the sense that he is locked in, extremely focused. He's swinging clearly. He's making good contact with it. It's rubbing off on the team. And the Phillies are loaded. And again, give credit to John Middleton, the owner. Of course, he said infamously back in 2018 when he signed Bryce Harper that he was going to spend money. In fact, he may spend it a little bit stupidly. He may get stupid about it, was his direct quote. So you sign Bryce Harper, you sign JT, you trade for JT Realmuto. You got Zach Wheeler, who you signed. You bring in Kyle Schwarber. You're putting your money where your mouth is. And this team has been exploding in this postseason. And again, it's an unthinkable run because they became the first ever team, first of all, as a 6th seed to reach the World Series. Now, to be fair, this is the first new expanded playoff. But again, this is the first expanded playoff in the MLB history, the postseason history. They were an 87-win team, and they were the final spot in the National League. And they ended what had just been the second longest playoff drought in the majors. They knocked off the Cardinals in the wild card. They defeated the defending champion, the Atlanta Braves, over 100 wins. The red-hot San Diego Padres, they just defeated. And they became the 6th team since the divisional play started in 1969 to reach the World Series after a midseason change from a midseason managerial change. This was the first time since the 2003 Marlins did it in Miami. So Joe Girardi had been the manager for the Phillies, guided them to a 22-29 record at the beginning of June. They make a change. They bring in their bench coach, Rob Thompson. He replaces him, and they're on fire. And they end up, of course, making the playoffs. So just an incredible story for the Philadelphia Phillies. Shout out to their 5-game NLCS win over the San Diego Padres. What a story they've been. And it sets up what should be a great matchup that I'll preview on Wednesday. But between the Phillies and the Astros, but shout out to Philadelphia, that city. It was electric watching their fans celebrate this team, because this team has been on an absolute tear. And again, Rhys Hoskins has been tremendous as well, but Bryce Harper has been the man so far. He has delivered in the postseason for the Phillies, and we'll see how they do in the World Series. But shout out to the Phillies. Finally, have to give props to the Houston Astros for sweeping the Yankees to advance to the World Series. This is their 4th pennant in 6 years since 2017. They're only the 3rd team in the wild card era to get to a World Series without a loss. They haven't even lost a single game so far this postseason. That's how dominant they've been. Of course, you have to include that 18-inning 1-0 win over the Seattle Mariners. But a win is a win, however it comes. And obviously, as it relates to the specific series against the Yankees, unfortunately for New York, the Astros have just been the immovable glacier and just the ultimate kryptonite for the Yankees. They just seem to have the Yankees' number. They've beaten them in the postseason 2 times in the last 4 years. And again, obviously Altuve, Bregman, that's the core. You've got Yordan Alvarez, who's playing extremely well. Now they have this rookie, Jeremy Pena, who's playing well. And listen, people like Dusty Baker. Clearly, he's doing a good job. Clearly, this team is a really good, well-coached team. Everyone still despises them. I still despise them for what they did against my Dodgers. But it's irrefutable the level of consistency that they've been able to maintain. Clearly, it's not a fluke. Clearly, this team is a talented group. And again, even though Springer and Correa aren't all the team, perhaps those were the guys that people, especially Correa, had a lot more vitriol for. People still don't like Altuve and Bregman, but they're clutch players. They're clutch players, man, and the team deserves credit. The team deserves credit, and they're back in the World Series again for the fourth time in 6 years. So they deserve credit for that. All right, that's all the time that I got for today. Thank you so much for joining me right here on Morning Joe every single Monday and Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 11 Central, and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page, Morning Joe with Jonah Malkin on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Jonah_Malkin or at morning_Joe_JMalk97 on Instagram, at Jonah Malkin on TikTok. Thanks so much. And as always, have a lovely rest of your morning.